Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hotline League episode 90. Boys, it is a spicy one tonight. Is for the second year in a row, TSM has not qualified to make it to Worlds. Instead, a team with some clutch plays were able to make it happen. We're going to talk about that and so much more here on Hotline League. But first off, give a shout
Dude,
out
that
to
was
our...
so lame. Where was your energy? No whammy, bammy, zammies, no nothing.
First off, we're going to give a shout out to our sponsors, Movement, makers of fine goods such as these sunglasses I'm wearing right now. And as I switch over to the logo for them, Alienware, who makes this beautiful computer behind me, and the one that I'm using, and the monitor that I'm using, and the headset Mark's got, and so many other things. You can check them out at alienware.com/Travis. We'll talk more about both of our sponsors as the show continues, but first off, I want to go ahead and introduce my constant co-host, Mark Zimmerman. Mark, how's your week been?
It's been okay. It was pretty busy because we had all 3 days of the gauntlet to do. Plus, I did the dive on Wednesday, so I was pretty busy.
You know that Kelby's in the chat right now?
Get him on air. I know he's not doing anything.
Yeah. Well, I'd be happy to have him join, but I don't think he will. He's what we like to call in the business a lamer. Anyway, so you did
I'll
the
tag
dive.
I'll tag him in the tweet, anyways.
Okay, great. He's at the office.
So he feels it. I didn't realize the office didn't have microphone.
Yeah. He's not sitting in teleconference calls all day long. He could totally do this. Anyway, Mark, the only thing you did was the other show and the gauntlet. That was it for you this week? Nothing interesting happened?
Got up to level 25. Oh my god, is that Kelby? Hold the phone.
He's in the Discord?
He is here. He has joined us.
What's good?
Okay.
Oh,
good.
shit. Let's go, boy.
All right. Introducing our second co-host for the evening, Kelby May. Kelby, how's it going?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good.
Much better now.
Welcome back to the show. It's been a bit.
It's been quite some time.
Yeah, I appreciate that we have.
I won't have a cam. Just so
fine.
you guys realize.
That's fine. We don't need that. Either way, Kelby, how you been? It's been a bit.
I've been really good. Busy at work, but we have a full sales staff now.
Congratulations!
Which is helping a lot of my burden.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's now an interesting time for League. I really want to be on this episode because I think there will probably be a lot of good topics. So.
I know at least 2 spicy topics. One of which isn't even from the callers. It's just us.
Yeah, exactly. I started a fight on Twitter.
And I thought we were on the same side, but apparently we're not on the same side.
No.
Oh, for the EU stuff?
For for G2 being the best team in the world. Let's just get into it.
I got lots of opinions there.
Okay. Yeah, no, let's get into it.
So here's the setup, everyone. Here's the setup. We're going to dive into the show now. As I fix Kelby's name and title and everything on the stream. So the setup is this. I am watching, and I don't like to do this, but I'm watching LEC. And I'm waiting... I'm waiting for...
We weren't going on until they were done. Travis was actually trying to watch us.
Yeah, I was trying to watch LCS, but LEC was on. And I was watching their finals because their finals were delayed and it was this week for whatever reason and whatever. And at the very end, as G2 is winning, in what was a pretty entertaining match, Medic, who is a friend of the show, often tells me exactly what I need to say about Fnatic during Fnatic calls from the Twitch chat. He makes a call, and he's like, and they're gonna win. The Nexus will explode, and G2 is the best team in the world. And I immediately tweeted, wow, the LEC casters are so hype that they think that, or they're calling G2 the best team in the world after having won this regional match. I don't, that wasn't the exact wording, but it was basically that, right? And immediately, everyone who's European and for some fucking reason Jack from Cloud9, which I don't understand, and Smix.
He's trying to get in there the European fans' pants.
And Smix, who never does anything with League whatsoever, they all pile into my responses and they say,
I didn't see Sue's. What did she say?
She was like, isn't it possible? Because okay. So immediately everybody starts saying, well, of course they are. And I say, well, okay, well, Worlds is in fucking 3 weeks. Why are we doing Worlds in 3 weeks to determine the best team in the world if we're ready to crown them right now? Which, by the way, was Jack's exact wording. He's like, I'm ready to crown G2 the best team in the world right now. Congrats, Carlos. And I'm like, we're crowning them the best team in the world after the LEC finals? And so, anyway, Smix said something like, well, isn't it possible that a team could be the best team in the world after one tournament, and then not be the best team in the world later on? Because the main argument everybody was making was, well, they won MSI, and then they won LEC. I am of the opinion that, like, okay, yeah, they were the best team in the world after MSI, but we are now a couple weeks out from the start of Worlds. We shouldn't be talking about who the best team is in the world a couple weeks out from the start of Worlds. So that's my take. And I think it's just crazy that, like, so many people, I mean, I get it, like, a lot of the EU fans want to believe this or whatever, right? But, like, for me, it doesn't hit.
All right, I disagree with you on one point. So I think there's two talking points here. There's one, which is the actual call that Medic made, which he later, tweeted about himself, and then two, declaring G2 the best team in the world.
Yeah, do you want to say what he said, by the way? Just for context for
yeah, he basically said he meant to say the best team in Europe, and he said the best team in the world. Flubs happen all the time. So do you want me to hit on the Medic, like the call, or do you want to hit on the opinion?
I think the call it's a short conversation, right? Because, like, we all are in agreement that, like, he shouldn't have said it that way. Also, what did I just do? I messed something up.
Yeah, well, to explain to fans who don't understand, like, why this stuff matters in broadcast, it's because, like, you're going to take those game-winning calls and you're going to splice them into all these hype pieces and videos, and, like, people are going to make montages with it and all this stuff. And so your call needs to be reflective of what just happened. And so, the NA call should be, and Team Liquid grabs an unprecedented 4th North American title in a row. And then, the LCK call is, SKT do it again. They take down #1 playoff seeded Griffins and claim to be the best team in Korea. Your call should match that. So when you start splicing that stuff together, it's all kind of hyping up your best teams and things like that. It sounds a little funny when the European call is, and G2 is the best team in the world, if you're making hype pieces for World. And to use, like, a real world example, like the Patriots win the Super Bowl. The next time that they're in the AFC Championship game the next year, you don't just say, they're in Patriots win the AFC Championship and are the best team in the world. It might still be true. It can be totally true, but you don't make that call until the Super Bowl happens in a week, So, like, it was a flub call. Medic admitted it. There's no harm in that. People flub their calls. Everyone flubbed, actually, the regional calls. I think Captain Flowers accidentally said C9 is on the Nexus turrets when TL was ending the game. Brendan Valdez said SKT are going to sweep Griffin, and then it was a 3-1, and so he had to, like, change the call in the middle and go into the dumpster, and, like, everyone messes them up. It's like, it's not a big deal. It was a mistake, whatever. But I do think, fans might not understand where, as a broadcaster, I'm coming from in my tweets, because there is a correct call there, and the call should reflect the stakes of the tournament. G2 can be the best team in the world, and you have a great case for it, but that's not the correct call for a regional European. So, it's not a big deal. I'm not flaming Medic. I don't care. But to Travis's point, I have no problem on an analyst desk or Euphoria or a place where an opinion should be calling G2 the best team in the world. I actually think that generates hype for the tournament. People should be declaring G2 the best team in the world. They should be setting them up as the favorites. That creates narratives and storylines.
I agree they should be setting them up as the favorites. I agree with you there. But I do not think we should be declaring, it's like, Worlds is a question. And that question is, who is the best team in the world? And the idea that we would start telling people who the best team in the world is before play-ins has even begun, or as play-ins begins, or during groups, or any point in time before we get to the finals is crazy to me. If G2 was in the finals against Team Liquid, that's going to assault some people. Let's Team Liquid. Should we be saying Team Liquid now has to face the best team in the world to find out if they are actually the best team, if they can beat the best team in the world? Like, what is Worlds if we've decided who the best team in the world is during the tournament? Kelby, I feel like you said you had some stuff to talk about.
Well, yeah, I just, like,
And this is more of an open-ended question I'm looking for your guys' guidance on, but like there's a reason why I think that MSI isn't, like labeled Worlds. I don't know how serious that event is in like determining the best team in the world. In other esports games, like you have international tournaments at multiple points throughout the years, and those are seen as checks for who's the best team in the world. Even in formats that have like a world final, do you feel like if Team Liquid would have won MSI and Team Liquid wins NA regionals, do we think Team Liquid is the best team in the world because they won MSI?
I think my opinion is no. But I think it depends what you're asking. Like for the sake of hype and narrative, like is it okay to say Team Liquid, after they win MSI, if you were like someone says Team Liquid is the best team in the world right now,
Yeah, you can make the argument.
Right, and I think as a call, as a piece that someone's saying, like, and with that victory, Team Liquid's crowned the best team in the world. Like, yeah, you can probably say that. I would disagree. I'd be like, they got lucky versus IG and G2 shat the bed probably. Like, like something like that would probably be what my opinion would be. But I don't think it's wrong to then like going into Worlds paint Team Liquid as the favorite, to be like, well, they won MSI, they won another region, unprecedented in North America. They're the best team in the world heading into the event. I think it's fine to say that, but I do agree that MSI and Worlds don't quite hold the same level of weight to them.
Right.
Here's a question for Mark. If Fnatic won Game 5 against G2, is Fnatic the best team in the world?
No, obviously not. I don't think the call is ever right. And I don't think...
So why not? Because they would have just beaten the best team in the world.
Well, I think, yeah, you're missing my point, which is like, if someone wants to make the case that G2 is the best team in the world and Fnatic beats them, then that person should probably make the case Fnatic might be the best team in the world. It is kind of the transitive property thing.
Are you saying because I'm fine with the idea, and by the way, hang on. I have to say this as this caveat, because all these people in the Twitch chat and on Twitter and all this stuff are like, Travis is salty. He thinks Team Liquid's the best team in the world, or he doesn't want to hear that G2's the best team in the world. Look, I like G2 a lot. I thought it was sick when they won MSI. Obviously, as a North American person, I would have rather seen Team Liquid perform. But like the fact that the West has a real contender, and the fact that Worlds is in Europe this year, and the fact that G2 could win it, and the fact that all 5 of those guys I love interviewing and doing content with, and I think have this great brand in Europe, and LEC's on the rise, all this stuff, like I am not salty about the idea that G2 could be the best team in the world right now. And like the whole response of like, well, Travis is just salty. It's like, well, it diminishes the conversation then. And that's what's disappointing to me, is because I think it's fine to have a conversation. I think it's interesting to have a conversation. Could you say who the best team in the world is before Worlds? I think it's a good conversation. But when people are like, well, Travis is just salty, it's like, okay, well, now we can't have the conversation because you've just decided that anything I say is irrelevant. It's frustrating.
Yeah. I definitely feel the frustration. That's why I chimed in on Twitter, just because like I saw the responses and I was like, okay, people are like, I don't know. It felt like there was a mispoint. Or lost in translation or something. But I think the idea, there's someone in chat asking like, just because you win Worlds doesn't mean you're the best team in the world. I would actually counter that. Like, when has a team won Worlds and you're like, I'm not convinced they're the best team in the world? Has it ever felt like we've crowned the wrong world champion?
No. All the EU fans will say that if North America ever wins. But until then, we've always crowned the correct world champion.
Yeah. So people say Season 2. Season 1 wasn't the Worlds. Yeah, but TPA, I think they were the best team in the world at that time. They beat everyone pretty convincingly, I think.
Yeah. I just don't understand why we would ever be... What's the fucking point? Thank you, Kyle, for gifting 5 subs. What's the fucking point of having Worlds if we won... for me, this whole point of Worlds is to determine who is the best. So on every level of this, if we are just saying beforehand, we already know. If we are saying afterwards that the person or the team that won was not the best... any of these things, I just feel like cheapen the whole point of Worlds. At that point in time, it's just like a TI money grab, I don't want to be a TI money grab.
And I'm definitely... Sorry,
Travis, sorry, just to interject. I mean, League World Championships is single elim, so I'm open to the possibility that they could not be the best team in the world.
We just don't know who the second best team is in the world is. We aren't guaranteed the best finals, but the format should find us the best team.
I mean, teams win through loser brackets sometimes, but yeah, no, I just had to respond to your Dota slander, which I will not stand for.
I agree with Kelby's point where like that SKT Rock semifinals where it was 5 games. I mean, to be fair, Rocks made it close with their cheesy MF support pick that SKT played into twice. So if I think about all the close game 5s, like KT versus IG in quarters, you know, KT could have won that series pretty easily. I think there was one game where it was like a last hit on the Nexus away from going in KT's favor, right? So there have been some close brushes where I'm like, ooh, I don't know about that one. And then they go on to win the whole thing. But I would still say most of the time I'm pretty confident that the better team actually did win that best of 5. But I totally agree that the tournament does not do a good job of finding the second best team. You know, I would say Rocks was the second best team in that tournament. KT was the second best team in 2018. So that's definitely a criticism of the lack of double elimination is like ranking the team's strength. But I personally haven't felt like I was like, man, that's some bullshit about who won.
Mark,
guys.
Okay, sorry, Kelby, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, why has nobody ever done triple elim? That's the next step.
Mark,
all right?
What if we just had a permanent, never-ending tournament of round-robin group play, best of 3s?
Mark, do you think RNG was the best team in the world going into Worlds last year?
I felt like it, yeah.
So then, when did they stop being the best team? Like, at what point during that tournament did their skill level fall?
When they lost to every other team in Group B. They lost to Vitality.
So the day before groups, they were the best team in the world. But then as we got into groups, that day, Uzi woke up and he's like, fuck, my team sucks.
That's not how that works. Obviously, they weren't the best team in the world throughout their entire scrim session, and they shit the bed over the course of a week-long tournament.
But we're so confident G2's the best team in the world right now. Why wouldn't RNG be the best team in the world up until that very moment?
Holy shit, Travis. This is like the most, like, Papega
He's trolling me so hard.
I know. He better be trolling. I'm not convinced he's trolling, though.
Well,
I'm scared.
I mean, Mark, Travis does raise some good points. I want to know at which scrim that you lose, do you no longer become the best team in the world?
I mean, that's my whole... Yeah, actually, I know that you guys think I'm trolling, and I somewhat am trolling just to fuck with Mark. But on the other hand, like, this is... My whole point is, like, we don't... How can we confidently say right now G2 is the best team in the world whenever, for all we know, like, fucking some crazy shit happens, they don't make it out of groups or something? You know, like...
Travis, someone is the best team in the world. And if someone wants to have the opinion that it's G2, they have a great fucking background
I agree.
for the argument.
I agree with that.
So then what are you even arguing?
Because I just don't think that we could... Because I think the idea that we're crowning them the best team in the world...
authority figure shouting that G... Like, who is that person that you're
we
arguing
would crown
about?
them the best team in the world, I think, cheapens Worlds.
Who are you arguing with, though? Because no one crowned them the best
Jack
team
did.
in the world. Okay, go argue with Jack.
Thorin disputes the idea that any other team could be eligible.
No, he's saying... I think their argument
all these EU fans...
I think there are points where it's fine to say G2 is the best team in the world because you haven't seen any evidence to necessarily contradict that yet. So if you want to go on saying the best team in the world, that's a fine opinion to have.
I just think, look, here's my suggestion. We will settle this way. We will hold a large tournament. There's a play-in section beforehand, and then we'll funnel 16 of these teams into a group stage. And then they'll play, and then we'll take the 2 from each group. We'll put them in quarters, then semifinals, then finals, and then at the end of it, we will know for sure who the best team in the world is.
That's such a good idea. And you know what would make that even more hype? If people went into that event with already preconceived narratives and storylines that then get tested throughout the tournament. Wouldn't that be crazy if people could go into the tournament already having an opinion? Wouldn't that make it really hype then when an upset happens?
I have no problem with opinions. I have problems with definitives.
But that's what, like, it's a man saying this or a woman saying this thought. It's a person saying this thought, right? Like, that doesn't make it... No one makes it definitive. There's no God spoke and said G2 is the best team in the world before Worlds, and now we're like, fuck, we don't even have to play it.
Tell that to the Twitter replies because they don't think there's a conversation to be had. They think that it's just one way. Anyway, let's move on topics. Mark, you've brought this on for far too long. Just let this topic languish.
Yeah, my bad, dude. I just don't know when to let arguments go. That's my bad.
All right. So I know we want to get into calls soon, but I think there's another topic, right? Didn't you say there was something else that came up that we should talk about?
I don't remember.
Okay. Okay, we've just killed
I
it
said that
over
we
the
had
past
another
week.
LEC topic, but it's a caller.
Okay.
I think that's what you're referencing.
All right. Well, let's think about all the stuff that's happened in the past week.
Didn't we talk about LEC enough for one show already?
No, this one's fun, Kelby. I think you'll like this one.
Okay.
Well, it'll be the first caller too. So before we get onto the first caller, if you've never seen the show before, it's a live call-in show. So I'm spamming the Discord link. You can go ahead and join up. When you get there, there's a Pleb Calls voice channel that you're going to want to join. You can mute once you're in there. And then there's a text channel called Pleb Topics. That is where you'll post what it is that you want to talk about. Once you post it, if I like what I'm seeing, I'll pull you into the on-air waiting room, the waiting room, where you will hang out until it's your turn. We'll do a quick mic check, and then we will hop into the on-air to discuss your topic.
Yep. And I think actually, first off, if you're a sub, make sure you, first off, thank you. You can be a sub for half off right now. Oh, Boba Cola just made 5 people subs as we were talking about it, gifted subs. But if you want, you can sub for $2.50 right now. And by the way, if you get a gifted a sub, you can do that as well. But be sure to link your sub and your Twitch account to your Discord account so that you can join the subtopics channel. It moves a little slower there, so it just gives you a bit of a better chance of coming onto the show. And of course, we really appreciate whenever you do sub. I think the only real thing besides the LEC stuff to talk about is the Gauntlet this past weekend, which I think gives us more than enough to talk about, right? Everybody's talking about TSM, but even CLG not making it through was, I think, a bit of a surprise for people. Oh, Mark, Kelby, did you hear about the Mark winking thing?
Oh.
No, what?
Okay, so apparently, Mark, was it 100% of the time, or it was very frequent when you voted for Clutch to win, they would lose, right?
I think maybe not Gauntlet, the tiebreakers. I think I might have predicted them to win.
Because the Twitter account made it seem as though, like, even during the split, if you predicted Clutch to win,
it was during the split a couple times. I don't know if it was 100%, but it was very frequent.
Yeah. So, but anyway, so they asked Mark, or I think there was a conversation where it was like, please don't predict us to win. And so during the Gauntlet, Mark would predict the opposing team, and then as the predictions came up, he would make the most obvious, like Lucille Bluth style wink directly at the camera, and just winking, letting everyone know that wasn't his prediction, and it worked. So really, Clutch owes Mark for it. Kelby, why are you gifting subs to the channel?
Why not?
Thank you.
You come back for an appearance, and you want to reward the folks.
Kelby gifting 50 subs to the channel.
Papa Kelby.
You can re-up your sub for $2.50 if you want to do that. That's crazy. Well, anyway, I just thought that was funny, Mark.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I'm glad Clutch was down to joke around with it. DeMonte as well would joke about it. So I like when the players are down to laugh about funny stuff.
I'm gonna spend the money that Kelby gave me through these subs on alcohol in Mexico with him because Kelby and I are leaving to Mexico in like 7-8 days.
It's too long. Hurry up.
We're leaving on the 18th. We're going to Tulum, which is near Cancun. It's gonna be sick. Anyway.
You ready?
Yeah. Let's get it going. Mark's grabbing our first caller. Going through the recent events. Kelby gifted 50 subs. Thank you. Merchant of Soul for 6 months. Blank 27 for 10. OPTSM fan for 17. Keeping an eye on seeing if Mark is back. Mark is back. Labuda Mike is here. Labuda Mike, welcome to the show. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Illinois.
And you've been on the show before.
Correct.
What do you want to talk about on the show tonight?
So my topic was, my argument is that the gap between NA and EU is bigger than the gap between EU and Korea. So like in
is
terms
this the
of
LEC topic?
Yep.
This is my favorite kind of LEC topic.
So when we're talking about like best teams in the, like, you guys were just discussing this for like way too long, talking about if G2 is, the best team in the world. I don't think if you're actually trying to be objective
All right, well,
about
thanks
worlds.
for joining us, Labuda Mike. It was great to have you on.
I don't think anyone's gonna bring up NA teams in that conversation. You're most likely gonna be focusing on LEC, maybe LPL, and
Mark,
LCK.
your QA is not.
Stop
It's not
interrupting
a
the
fun
caller,
topic.
Kelby. You
I'm
have
having a
more
great.
manners.
I'm just here to piss off all the NA fans.
So you just think, I mean, so your argument is that Korea and Europe are a lot closer to, it's much more competitive between those two than Europe and North America.
Right, and we can even see that in the competition because, like, we saw TL beat IG, but then IG just looked like shit domestically. Like they just barely made it to Worlds by running the gauntlet. While G2, flew through SKT, and then SKT went home and won the LCK championship. Like they beat a team that was ready to perform, and then TL just got swept.
Where do you think LPL is in all of this?
Well, I think LPL's up there too because I watch. So I'm not like an analyst or anything like that. I just do like some esports betting here and there. So I do consume like a lot of league content, but I'm lacking on the LPL. But I think Fun Plus could also be a really good contender. I just don't know how they play because all I know is that they just beat RNG 3-1.
By the way, the reason Kelby was interrupting was because for some reason we can hear this guy, but Kelby can't hear him at all on Discord. Labuda, can you talk again?
Yeah. Can you guys hear me? Or can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you now. I'm so sorry. I
Oh, no,
thought
you're
that
fine.
we were all just listening to silence, and so I was making jokes about your mic not working and Mark being
Your
bad
timing,
at QA.
your timing was perfect. This is when I was trash talk. I thought you were just
Yeah, he was
interrupting
trashing
when I was
NA, and it sounded like you were like, "Get this guy out of here." You're
Yeah,
I
that's
was
how
just
you were
super
framing
lucky.
the topic. Yeah,
Holy shit. No, okay.
that's
It was
so
perfect
funny.
timing.
I have no context. I'm sorry. Could you do like the very short
His whole
rebrief?
thing is just he says the gap between LEC and Korea is smaller than the gap between LEC and North America. Basically saying that LEC and Korea are more competitive and there's a stronger rivalry between the two than between North America and Europe.
Okay, gotcha. Sorry. Continue.
So I think this is a pretty cold take. I mean, the jokes about the whole G2 being the best team in the world, I agree that there's a really good chance that they are. And I would never say that about Team Liquid. But I think I would say that potentially about one of the Korean teams, probably SKT, or of even FunPlus. And so I think that's the thing. Is like I think that each of the three major regions, but setting aside North America, have a contender to win Worlds, even though G2 is the best. And so I think that that's interesting. I just don't. I don't think that there's much of an argument to be made.
Why? Sorry.
Yeah. Would you consider TL a realistic contender to win Worlds?
I think they're the underdog, right? Like I think they could have some crazy miracle run, but I don't think anybody thinks right now that they're stronger than G2, for instance.
So why'd you guys spend so much time arguing if G2 is the best team in the world?
They're not the best. We don't know who the best team in the world is.
Yeah, let's not walk back down that path. But
I was
at the
getting so tilted listening to that.
let's not talk about it. Let's talk about the fact that Fnatic and G2 played 2 best of 5s, both going to the 5th game. So obviously, if you do hold G2 in high opinion, then you should probably hold Fnatic in pretty high opinion too.
Right.
It does feel like a big gap between the 2nd and 3rd place team, but that is probably true for a bunch of the regions. IG, I'm a little hesitant to say there's a big gap just because I know they weren't nearly as good this year or in summer, but they are a very streaky team. So like they could easily come out with like a really good read on the World's meta potentially and do well.
I'm not gonna lie, they looked pretty bad in the gauntlet. They were because they have 2 junglers right now, and they were struggling to get their footholds in the series before coming back and winning. Both of them went to 5. Like they were barely eking out these wins.
So, Labuda, Mike, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So why are you using Korea as the comparison to EU as opposed to LPL? Is there?
So because I know obviously IG just won the world's championship, but like I do a lot of, like I said, I do a lot of esports betting. So there's like people who make the stats and stuff like that, and statistically the top 4 teams that are predicted to win are SKT, G2, RNG, and Griffin. So you have 2 Koreans, the European team, and for some reason RNG over the number 1 team. So just
I mean, yeah, the
statistically
RNG thing
speaking,
is strange to me, but
that's what I was thinking too. But like these people somehow get their odds. It's 4-1, 5-1, 6-1, and 6-1. Like it's all really close.
yeah, but who are they? Like I mean, I just don't. I would not say the
Anyone picking Griffin's just handing their money over to these sites.
Yeah, I don't know.
Well,
Jesus.
The reason that I bring it up is that so everybody is using international events as their barometer for determining strength going into Worlds, right? Everybody
Correct.
thinks that G2 is the best team in the world because they have a claim to it because they won MSI. But what region of team did G2 face in the finals of MSI?
NA.
Well, they played us, but they also beat SKT.
Yes,
Yeah.
and NA 3-1, right? The previous world champion, IG, in a very, very convincing series. If you take it back even further to previous worlds, Korea didn't even make semis.
Okay, here's the
was in
thing.
Semis.
They did not send their best teams. I really don't like this argument because Griffin, if they were sent, if LCK sent the best teams, they would have sent Griffin, SKT, and someone else.
Dude,
They did
Griffin's not the best team. They've literally choked in every important match they've ever played.
But last year they were though. They were 100% better
Really?
than
Then why'd they
Gen G.
choke out in
They didn't
finals and
make
why'd
it,
they
though.
choke out in Gauntlet? Why'd they lose the Gauntlet
Because
and
SK
Griffin were the best team in the
SKT.
world last year.
SKT is their kryptonite. SKT is literally they for some it's like a
pressure
mental
is their
block or something.
kryptonite?
That too maybe honestly. But last year you cannot tell me Genji and Africa's was the best teams to send to Worlds from LCK. Like they were a joke. Like it was it's like when we sent 100 Thieves.
Yeah, no, for sure. They looked really bad, but I'm just saying so based on results and how people seem to be rationalizing these arguments, I would think that actually you would say that NA and EU are the top performing regions right now going into Worlds.
But
That's true.
You know,
North America,
that's actually
Team
a good
Liquid
point,
is the
Kelby.
second best team in the world. I just figured it out.
yeah, but they beat a really weak IG team that struggled.
No,
They proceeded
no.
to struggle.
No,
Yes,
Team Liquid got
yes.
second at MSI, and Team Liquid won LCS finals. That means they're the second best team in the world.
How does that make NA the second
Is
best? region
G2 the best team in the world?
Yes.
Why? Because they
Well-
won MSI and they won the fucking
Man,
NA
no,
LEC
no.
finals.
It's because they not only did they win the LEC finals, they did everything other than the last. You said they went to 5 games. They did not falter throughout the entire season twice. They looked dominant the entire split, both splits. They've looked strong the whole time. While
wait,
the other
who is this? G2?
Yeah, G2's looked good in LEC the entire split.
They've trolled the second half of their splits both times.
Yeah,
And
exactly,
dropped
and
a
they
bunch
still
of
won. By doing what though? What were they picking in those games?
I mean, they picked troll shit all the time. They picked first pick Pike with Akali Silas up in the finals of game 1. They lost. They do dumb stuff. It happens. They're really good, but they're highly volatile. It's hard to toe the line between trolling and like actually think this is the right thing.
But they're not volatile to the point of losing. When it counts, they win each time, right?
Sure, but you just said they didn't struggle, which is just factually wrong.
But no, what I'm saying is that they weren't dropping many games. Like how many games did they actually drop in LEC? Like how many actual series did they drop?
How many series did TL drop?
They went to 5 games with Clutch Gaming.
Okay, G2 went to 5 games with Fnatic. They're clearly better. I'm not saying they're not better, but the transitive property shit, by the way, is like a dagger in my heart every time I hear it. So let's just drop the the
I try not to
transitive
do it, but it's just on paper they just look so much better.
Yeah, I think they are. G2 is a lot better, but I'm just saying the arguments that you were making also apply to TL based off how you're making them. That's all I was saying.
Yeah, that's what I was saying too. I mean, I think in practice, and sorry to interrupt, Mark, I think that, obviously, I think in practice, EU, Korea, and LPL are the strongest regions, and there's the most competition between them, and there's more of a gap between them and NA than each other. But yeah, just the way you were making the argument.
Right, and I think, to the point of the caller, the argument doesn't stop at the best team in the region. It does extend to the 3 teams we're sending. His point was the gap between all of NA and EU. And based off Rift Rivals, we got booty blasted horribly. Now, you can say TSM wasn't actually our 3rd best team. They were struggling in summer, whatever, but they also took Clutch to 5 games. So it's not like Clutch, if they played with their form now in Rift Rivals, would be like that much better. So I do think the argument, I would agree with Labuda Mike at the end of the day about the initial premise of the European region is a larger gap above the NA region than the European region.
I think so. I mean, I think it's hard for anybody to debate that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Would you agree that LEC as a whole is better than the LCS? Competition wise?
For sure.
Okay.
He has to say that because last time he didn't, we got a ton of dislikes on our YouTube video.
Well, we also got absolutely shit on at Rift Rivals, you know.
Yeah,
I think you said that
mean,
after Rift. Oh no, you said it after MSI.
our fall off seems
Yeah.
to be pretty hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By the way, this is like the sub gifting night. Seb Park just showed up and subbed, and then gifted 5 subs as well. Thanks to everybody subbing. You can re-up your sub
5?
for $2.50 if you get one.
I saw people were talking about Raz. I see him in there, so I assume Raz wants to come on and talk LPL soon.
Yeah.
Oh, I
if
love
he,
Raz.
Oh, if he, he should message you on Discord if he wants to do that.
Yeah, I see him. I'll pull him in a minute. Raz, get ready.
But into this call, or are we going to do a separate one?
No. Separate call.
Okay, cool. Hey, Labuda, thanks so much for calling. Is there anything you want to say as we move on to the next caller?
No, thank you so much for having me on. G2 is the best team in the world.
Great. Love it. All right. Before we move on to the next caller, let's do a quick break to talk about our sponsor, Alienware. First of our 2 sponsor slots tonight. We've got a beautiful Alienware computer behind me and an Alienware chair. But I really want to talk to you guys about a thing that they're doing right now. First off, go to alienware.com/Travis and use Travis10 off to get amazing discounts on amazing hardware. They've just announced a ton of new stuff. New laptops, new monitors, new desktops, new everything. It's insane. But also right now on, they asked me specifically to shout this out. I believe it's, let me just make sure I get the URL right. AlienwareArena.com. Go check out AlienwareArena.com. They're actually doing a pretty big giveaway right now where they're giving away a ton of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate codes. If you're not familiar with that, that's the pass that allows... Actually, Kelby, you know what that is. Do you want you can probably explain what it is better than I can. Are you here, Kelby? Did Kelby leave? Kelby, I know, was going to get this, so I'm not sure. But anyway, you can go there. It's the Xbox Games Pass Ultimate allows you to play like a ton of different games. I think they've got over 100. So anyway, huge chance to win that. I know they're giving away a ton of them. They're giving away a Gears 5 prize pack and then a bunch of money in Dell rewards, which would allow you to buy some new stuff for free with these Dell rewards. So AlienwareArena.com, just go check it out right now. If you're on desktop, you can definitely see it. If you're on mobile, I think you have to turn your screen sideways to see the little banner on it. But you sign up, you play a little game. It's really easy, and then you can win some stuff. So anyway, thank you so much to Alienware for sponsoring the show. I'll go ahead and put AlienwareArena.com in the YouTube description as long as I don't forget. And if I do forget, somebody in the comments will yell at me. And again, thank you to Alienware for sponsoring. All right, let's move on to the next caller. As Mark grabs our next caller, I want to keep giving some shouts. Thank you to Kyle0808 for the 5 subs. Razzleplasm for 6 months. Breathe deep, fly high. And speaking of Razzleplasm, Raz is in the call right now. Raz, where are you calling from?
Oh, I'm calling from, Tallahassee.
Tallahassee?
America.
Oh yeah.
I was
The
hoping
greatest city in the world.
we'd never have to go back there again, but it sounds like you ended up back there. You're in Shanghai right now, right?
Yep.
Well, good to hear from you. How's Shanghai?
It's been good, actually. It's usually been on and off because it's typhoon season. And so there are moments where you're just like, well, I can't even pick up my umbrella without it flying off. But last 2 days has been pretty incredible.
How were the finals? Because the finals looked incredible. The finals looked like borderline World's final ceremonies. You guys even got VR Akali, KDA Akali, and I saw this. It looked like the arena looked amazing.
It was honestly the best finals I've been a part of for LPL. A lot of the times, I'm always like a little bit Monka-esque because they tell you the rundown, but because it's so intertwined with Tencent, they don't tell you a damn thing about what's actually on it, how long it'll take, and the quality about it. So when I saw that the KDA Akali was on the board, I was like, oh, the problem with throwing in VR Akali is that you're going to compare it to the last VR Akali, and very difficult to top. So is this going to be a meme? And then I watched it, and it was the most craziest thing I've seen.
Yeah,
actually.
Candace did an interview with VR Akali, right?
Yeah, that one was a little wild. So
okay, we're not talking about that one.
Because I didn't actually watch it, but I remember Clement, who apparently like translated the interview, was like, "Oh, then they just threw it to Mercedes." So I was like, so it's just it's just an ad thing at the end." So okay.
Did you see the Brazil opening with the Jinx?
Yo, yes, the Jin shooting thing was actually.
Oh yeah,
just
Jin. Yeah,
insane. It was
That-
wild. All right, I like that one.
that one was sick too. All these
Yeah.
cool intros.
Well, either way, did you have? I don't know, Raz. Did we just drag you in here just to say hi, or did you have a take or something you want to talk about on the show tonight?
All right, so Mark already did actually most of the work about the whole, transitive property bullshit. That's just going wild on this show. I was so damn mad. I was just listening to this bullshit for so long. But so since that's out of the way, I think the whole conversation around the LPL at this stage is, I wouldn't say disingenuous, but I think there's just not a lot of information out there. Right now, people are just kind of selling LPL down the road, and so I'm just gonna say my piece that I think this is the first Worlds that I have no damn idea who's gonna be the winner. A lot of the times you'll come in with a grand expectation, and while last year, Invictus Gaming won, the expectation was that KT or RNG would be the front runners, like pretty much head and shoulders, and then group stage happened. The last two Worlds has been the team that has grown during the group stage and plans on all that has been the winner. Like Gen G is a great example of that, where they went into a group stage where I think they were a third seed. They didn't look good at all. They went up against RNG in the group stage and got out team fought, and then they actually started drafting around team fighting. Definitely looked much better as a squad, and this time around, I think my front runner is SKT, G2, and I'm a little bit apprehensive about, I would say Fun Plus just a little bit, but for me, I don't have a front runner. I would say I would be surprised if G2 lost to C2 teams, but even then, I think this is an expectation where whoever comes in, group stage plans, grows the most, which is why I'm a little bit more afraid about like Damwon, a team that actually has so much time now going through play-in stage and group stage, and they have sick-ass players that I even said in an earlier interview that I think that like I wouldn't be surprised if they were the champions. In fact, that was like kind of like my early risky bet would be like that Damwon would probably take it. So, and also another thing is everyone talking about Korea, and I know that's gone in the past, as if Korea, are not even close to being in contention or like trying to talk about the last year. That's just a wild discussion. SKT, I think, is like probably top 2, top 3 in the discussion of world champions. So that's my only take.
Raz, I'm going to ask you one question.
I have some more
what's
follow-ups
up?
after that.
I'm going to ask
All
one
right,
question, and then, I mean, we'll
What's
have
up?
you stick around, but like I'm not going to drag this on. I just want to ask you:
Okay.
Is G2 the best team in the world?
Yeah, I'd say that. Yeah, I think the only conversation that was legitimate was the fact that when they went through MSI, they had to go up against Invictus Gaming that was half trolling. But even then, and if IG was somewhat put together, I'd think that level of G2 would still win the series if it was in a finals, right? So them beating SKT was already 100%. Them going up against Team Liquid, we already knew that was going to be an easy victory. Although I definitely didn't vote in the way,
Raz,
but we ain't gonna go back to that.
Raz, I'm confused.
And they would have beaten IG, so they were the best team at that time. And the expectation is now that they're the best team going into Worlds.
Raz,
That's the expectation.
You're telling me that you have no idea who's going to win Worlds this year, and you're also telling me that we already know who the best team is.
No.
You asked him who he thought.
No.
It's like guess
All right,
how
let's
many
move on, Mark. I don't want to talk about this much longer.
guess how many air
Wait a
molecules
minute.
are in the room. Guess how many air
Wait a
molecules are in the
second.
room. You don't know, but if you ask me a number, I'm going to give you a number.
Mark, I think you had a question you wanted to ask Raz.
Yeah, Raz, for people who haven't been watching the LPL, can you give like a little bit of a small breakdown of the three teams? Because people still think about China as like the crazy region because, when IG won, that's how they looked, even though like recently Uzi-led teams have not been that similar. So like, where do the three teams, IG still crazy, IG, is Fun Plus crazy, Doing be playing Nautilus mid?
Crazy.
Yeah,
Fun Plus
I know,
is pretty
but
wild.
yeah, just
So
for
I'd say
people who
the
don't know.
two-
Yeah.
Okay, I'd say the two craziest teams right now, of course, are IG and FPX. Top esports were a little bit, but I'm not going to talk about them since they lost. But for FPX as a team, like the craziest thing about them is just how often they tend to lose waves just to rotate, specifically DoMB. Like there was even one game in the series where he was just like, as a Kiana, consistently leaving the lane just so he can get Gimgoon or LWX ahead. So that's an expectation where you're always forced to skirmish against FPX. So FPX versus G2 is actually going to be pretty funny because FPX as a team has such creative compositions because they try to work Doinby's champions like the old Pantheon, which he won't have an opportunity to play anymore. Rest in peace.
Hey man, new Pantheon's hot.
Yeah, maybe he picks that one up. And so that's a really fun one. Is that Doinby just has a big, like a wild champion pool, and they always make it work. Invictus Gaming, we all know and love that team, but the big change has just been the fact that they brought in new jungler from their academy. So it's like kind of similar to TSM, except they have better side laners and everything. And so like they just have like incredible talent. The Shy and Rookie is just the same people that you saw last. The major story throughout the split was that Rookie was just playing poorly. Since coming back from Korea and obviously the troubles that he had there, you can definitely see that individually he wasn't as strong. And then even during the playoffs and the Gauntlet tournament, he only got much better and got into an insane form at the last few games. So that's where IG is like, they're a team where they can potentially evolve at the tournament because they're synergizing well with a very talented jungler, and the players themselves are getting back to like MSI position. So I would say IG is a team to watch because you can't just expect them to play as poorly as they did during the summer split.
All right, then hit me with RNG. Is it still the same team except they swapped out their top laner?
Yeah, so the only one you'd have to know is Long Xing, who's basically put in the same position as Let Me or Zatai, is that he's not getting any of the resources. He was a carry top laner from Suning and everything, so like he was at the time one of the best domestic top laners. So bringing him on, they were trying to hold on to that super team idea and mentality. He struggled a lot, which is why they kept swapping between other tops like Amazing J. Kind of was, well, actually he replaced Amazing J, but certainly loves ERR. But as the playoffs came through, he actually completely played the role perfectly. So I would say RNG is in a really good position in Worlds, with the only issue being, my God, stop funneling these resources into Uzi at all stages of the game. Like Shahu is an insane mid laner and was, MVP of the split like potential. He was so close to being able to attain that, and they're still putting him in like full support duty. So that's a sad one.
Awesome.
All right.
Well,
So
Travis, do you have any
LPL teams have
questions?
a really good chance. I think LPL teams once again go to Worlds if they grow. Like IG can grow and still be world champion. RNG could maybe make the great calls around drafting and priority, and there'd be world champion potential. FPX are just really wild and could be world champion potential. So that's why, going back to Travis's thing, I don't know who could grow during the tournament, but if we're talking about expectations coming in, you give respect to G2.
Yeah, hey, I would agree they are the favorite for the tournament.
Then what are you talking about?
That's what you keep asking people, then getting mad when they say G2.
No, there's a difference between who's the best and who's the favorite. We don't know who the best is. We just have an
The
expectation.
favorite is who you think is the best. Why would anyone but who you think is the best be the favorite?
Because we don't know
Right.
who the favorite is.
He can think they're the best, but that wouldn't mean that he would declare them the best until the tournament ends.
Yeah.
Travis, I'm
Alright.
with you.
All right.
What are you with? He's changing his positions.
I've not changed
Goalpost
my
here,
position
maybe
at
the
all.
goalpost is here.
I haven't
I'm
changed my
just
position.
there.
I think they're the favorite.
What?
There's a difference between the person who I think to win and who is best in the world.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
They're
Travis,
not
who's-
the
Travis,
same
who's-
thing.
Yeah.
Travis,
yeah,
who's
yeah.
the best team in the world right now?
I don't know. I'll tell you after
Who do you
Worlds.
think's the best team in the world right now?
I think there's a good chance G2 is the best team in the world.
So what if you were just like, writing online and just for the sake of brevity, you remove the word think and I think?
There's a difference.
Yeah, there is.
I don't know.
I will say this.
Okay, here's-
about you
Sounds like
as a
you're
person.
just couching it.
You are a
Oh,
person that never wants to make definitives in
No,
any
I-
stages, in any conversations, Travis.
Well, we know
you
this.
don't like
I
making
mean, come on.
definitives.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I don't want to have a conversation that isn't like where a team just want like you got as close as you ever have gotten to making a definitive statement. I'll take that as it is. all right?
Kelby,
I
what's a
think-
great movie coming out this year?
I think the sex was pretty good, at least for me. I don't know how it was for you.
How do you? That's eerily similar to. Kelby, is there a movie that you think is going to come out this year that's like an Oscar contender that you would bet?
I don't know. I'm just so excited for Top Gun Maverick. I can't.
Okay. Let's put it this way. Actually, this is terrible because Kelby and I are on opposite. But if I said today, I think Top Gun Maverick is going to be the best movie of this year, there's a really big difference between that and saying Top Gun Maverick is the best movie of 2019. No one could say that right now.
But people say that literally all the time in articles and stuff.
Yeah, and we don't respect
when they
those
haven't
people.
watched it.
No, people watch the movie and then they're like, "My God, this was so good. There's no way a better movie comes out. This is the best movie."
Mark,
Wait a
I'm tired of
minute,
this topic.
You
Let's move on.
changed. Well, I'll before I leave, I'll say this one thing. You changed the wording because if someone says this team is the best team in the world,
We lost Raz. He got cut off. I don't know what happened. The China connection, the internet is not.
Hey, I appreciate Raz coming out and giving Travis his talking points for the next month until the tournament starts up. Really, really nice of Raz to go ahead and do that.
The connection died. I don't know what happened. That's unfortunate. Discord these days is. I've got right. By the way, I received a note from my producer during the break. I was talking about the Alienware Arena giveaway. I've got notes on specifically. So Xbox Game Pass Ultimate. You get over 100 games per month. All Xbox exclusive launch on it, including Gears 5, and it works on Xbox and PC. And it also includes Xbox Live Gold, which is their online service. So you have a chance to win that. It's not just for Xbox. This is also for PC. Thank you to my producer for handing that off. We are going on to the next caller. Mark is going to go grab them right now. Continuing with the shout-outs, thank you to Raz. Oh, I said him already. Crouton for 12 months. Frailty, Anti-TP, C-Money, Nanuko, 111. OMG, you ate my cookies. Oh, Nanuko at one year. Zephyr Glucimin, Darth Zombie 13 for 13 months. Muzak. And Mark should be back here any second. Snarf051, met you at PAX. Thank you for the cool pick, bro. Yeah, thank you. Will D1 Thrill donated $5. Dude Casey for 10 months. Swifty Zavi. Smillsap 917 for 19. Calendar Guy Ferks. And Mr. Fanatic 7. And we've got our next caller here, Bar Jonks. Is that how I pronounce it?
Yeah, that works.
Where are you from?
Glendale, Arizona.
Glendale, Arizona. I know there's a Glendale out here. I didn't know there was one in Arizona.
I think there's like 10 Glendales.
Oh.
So it's a common name.
Okay. Well, anyway, what do you want to talk about on the show?
I want to talk about how Cody's son is by far the second best AD carry in North America and the only other NA AD carry that is world's caliber at the moment.
Uh-oh. All right. Look, you can't do this to me and Mark, all right? Because you might not know this, but Sneaky got really upset with us earlier in the year, a month ago, because we were taken out of context. He's a great player. We don't think he should be in academy, but here we are.
Well, who wants to tackle this one first?
So let's let Barbar explain his point. So you've got two things here. One, you think Cody's the second best ADC in North America, but two, you're also inadvertently slamming Sneaky, the third ADC, who's going to Worlds by claiming he's not Worlds caliber.
Right, and I don't think Sneaky is a bad player. I just don't think he stands up or will stand up this year. I know he's had good Worlds performances in the past, but looking at the body of work this season, he just hasn't played to that level, so I just don't see him reaching that again. And I think Cody's son has quietly had such an amazing split. I mean, he's the one piece they changed, and all of a sudden they're going to Worlds, and they weren't even a playoff team.
They were 10th. They were the worst team.
Yeah, so I just think that he has played so well. He's like the consistency. Everyone wants to talk about the 10-minute early, oh, they're so hyped, they're so fast, they make all these plays. And they wouldn't be able to do that without a consistent damage threat like Cody's son. Just always exists at the 20, 25-minute mark.
Okay, maybe we start there and then we get to the Sneaky thing afterwards.
Right. So to be fair, as chat pointed out, thank you very much, they did change their coaching staff pretty significantly, as well as obviously Dignitas buying out the org. So I think on the organization change, I don't know how much credit to give managers and stuff for changing the environment. I don't know. The coaching staff, though, I felt like did do a lot of really good things. They had a lot pillar of a game plan. They still had their unique picks, but they weren't picking random things that felt like every single game. They developed a really clear play style of things to do, and so I think ThinkCard and Artemis deserve a lot of credit as well as Cody's son. That said, I will agree that I think Cody's the second best player in the league as well. I put him on my All-Pro second team, I think. I might have put Stixay second and then him third. I
I
forget.
can tell you right now because I can pull out the ballots. Let's find out.
All right, let's find out.
Mark Zimmerman, you have your second pro. Your lineup. Oh no, that's Kobe. Your lineup was Cody's son number 2.
Boom! I agree. All right.
With yourself.
Well, I agree with the caller I'm at. And I stand by my vote from 2 months ago, whenever it was. That said, I don't know, Travis, do you have anything you want to throw in here before moving on to part 2 and the world's allegation?
Well, Stixay got second LCS All-Pro team. But this, of course, was before playoffs.
It's regular season award, to be fair.
Yeah.
And people are trolling.
And it does seem like Cody really popped off in the playoffs.
He had a really good 5 game. I don't think he died the last 5 games of the season. Had a pretty insane.
Right, yeah, no, he didn't die for a while. Or maybe he died in the very last game, I forget.
Yeah, it might have been something like that. But he had a pretty insane run during Clutch's run into playoffs because they had to play really tough teams too during that time, I believe.
Yeah. So, I don't know. I think I'm okay saying Cody's the second best ADC in North America, especially if we're saying second.
Yep, no one's saying first for sure. So the world thing, I disagree that Sneaky's not a world caliber marksman. I don't think he's in contention for best in the world. He's not the best in his own region, but he has gone to worlds consistently and has had good performances and has had bad performances. Notably last time he was at Worlds, he smashed a Freaka's bot lane really hard and helped carry his team into the semis. It wasn't Licorice. Licorice did great work in the group stage, but he got absolutely shit on by Khan. Right, Khan? Yeah, Khan.
Yeah.
And then it was the bot lane that actually carried that series, as well as Jensen. Jensen had a really good game on one of his LeBlanc games.
No, Keen.
Keen. God damn it. I knew it was wrong when you said Khan. I was like, that's not right.
I did say Khan.
Keen. I said Khan, and then you agreed.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're both idiots. Keen. Thank you, Twitch chat. But yeah, that's why I don't feel confident saying Sneaky's not a world's caliber bot laner. He also had that same WE series where he set the record, I think, for the time of most CPM in a game. I can't get behind that.
Yeah, I'd agree. I think it's pretty tough to say that Sneaky is not a world's caliber player.
I just think it's really tough after this split. I mean, you look at everything he's done over the course of summer, and I just feel like he's never been this bad. Like going into Worlds, he's never had this down of bad's a bad term. He's never had this down of a split. He's never had this many poor performances on stage. I mean, at points people were talking about, even if it was taken out of context, I mean, other people jumped on the bandwagon that he shouldn't be their starting AD carry anymore. I mean, they made the move to grab Deathly, whether that was they grabbed him just to grab him to get him out of that situation, or they thought maybe we need a backup AD carry going forward. Because Sneaky did play terrible for most of the split. I just don't see him ramping up that much to become that strong of a force for them again. And I think he's going to be their biggest liability going forward.
How did this guy get second team All-Pro if he was that bad? And excuse my ignorance, I didn't watch it.
No, Stixay got second team All-Pro.
Okay, my bad.
Cody got third.
So, yeah, Cody got third. Yes. Sneaky had a pretty off split to the extent that we talked about it on the show and it became a thing. But
yeah, I mean, I have no problem criticizing for the time frame of the window that we're talking about. If we're talking about his regular season performance was not great. His playoffs was okay. I don't think his finals was great, but his match versus CLG was pretty good. And even at Worlds, you can be a Worlds caliber player and still have good and bad games because you're playing against other world class teams, right? And so that's kind of how Sneaky's World runs have often been, where sometimes it's really good, sometimes he's getting slammed, sometimes it's draft dependent. I feel like until I see him do bad at Worlds, when the pressure's really, really on, I have a hard time discrediting his postseason and Worlds play from some mediocre regular season games. Because who knows? I mean, as much as you don't want to admit this, players' motivations come and go. They slump in the regular season. He's a super old player. He's played forever.
He should be an academy, is what you're saying, Mark. I think that's what you just said.
I'm saying the performance he put on to the stage in the regular season was one of his lowest of his own career. I've always said that. But that does not mean that he is suddenly bad or he can't become good and at Worlds he's going to choke. I don't
worry about Cloud9 and I don't worry about Sneaky at Worlds. I think they've just proven themselves too many times, and I believe in them, and it's like they've earned the benefit of the doubt for me based off of their numerous Worlds appearances and their performances there, and Sneaky as well. So I feel like they'll go do the boot camp. They're going over before any of the other NA teams. It's kind of weird, actually. TL is taking a long time. But they're going over before any of the NA teams, other NA teams, and they're boot camping. And I think that he'll get into Worlds form just fine. He might even get into Uzi form. I don't know. We're gonna find out.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I would agree with Travis. I think that regardless of the splits, Sneaky's pedigree speaks so much at this point that until especially with C9's history at Worlds, until he has a bad one, I'm gonna say he's a Worlds caliber player for sure.
But hey, if you're right and he goes out and shits the bed, Barbar, you are the first guy calling it out here.
TR Marilla says, please, Travis, stop talking shit about Sneaky just because you are double lift uncle. Sneaky at Worlds outperforms double lift every year. I'm not talking shit.
You're so easily baited.
Nothing was wrong in that statement. You are double lift's uncle. Sneaky has always gotten further than double lift, basically.
I wasn't shit talking Sneaky.
Why do you have a problem with that?
Can't I be an older brother to him? Why do I have to be his uncle? I don't like that age difference and that implication. Hey, Barbar Jonks, any follow-ups here? Anything you want to say as we say goodbye?
No, just thank you guys for letting me call in. Have a great night.
Yeah, thanks. Have a good one. All right, moving on to the next caller. We'll take a break after the next one, but Mark's going to go grab our next friend. Going through all the Kelby subs. Merchant of Soul for 6 months. Alpha Fox for 6. Milk Steak 2. Short Bus Driver. Seb Park. And then Seb Park gifted 5 subs. Ichiryu for 24 months. 2 years. Scar94 LOL for 16. Frodo Zodo. The Warwick. Labuda Mike, who was on earlier. Thank you. Donut 562. Whistle Britches. And it looks like we got our next caller. Juffy is here. Juffy, where are you calling from?
I'm calling from Richland, Washington.
Richland?
Yes.
Richland,
Washington.
Richland, Washington. Were you at PAX?
No. Richland, Washington is on the eastern side of Washington, so it's nowhere near Seattle. It's basically Texas, but in Washington.
Yeah, we consider him a part of Idaho, really.
Really? Oh yeah, Kelby's from
yeah, Washington. A little bit.
I'm from Western Washington.
Yeah, actually most of the potatoes, or a plurality of the potatoes in the world are grown in eastern Washington, or at least for French fries. So if you eat French fries, you can go ahead and thank me.
Wow, I like how you knew to differentiate majority from plurality.
Well,
Jeffy, what do you want to talk about tonight?
I wanted to say that TSM getting rid of Bjergsen would be the worst possible decision for TSM to make if they intend on winning anything in the next few years.
I think it's cute that you think it's their decision.
Yeah, I was going to say, but continue.
Well, yeah. So first of all, if it's probably isn't up to them. I agree with that. But this harkens back to the kicking double left off of TSM thing, which at the time, I don't have any logs to back this up, but just please believe me, I thought was a terrible idea, not necessarily because I didn't think that Sven and Mithy would have been an upgrade over the lane of double lift and Biofrost, which I did, even though that didn't end up being true. but because by getting rid of double lift, you gave
Oh god,
other
this is
group-
Kelby.
Yeah.
This is the Kelby.
Kelby says
Oh,
this
is it?
every 5 minutes.
Mhm,
He
mhm.
he
Keep
answers
going,
the
Jeffy.
phone.
I like
Right,
it.
you
I
give-
like it. I like it. Keep
He
going.
answers
You
the phone by
give-
saying, "Hey, hello, this is Kelby's phone." By getting rid of double lift, not only did they lose him, but they also gave him to their competitor. That's like
right.
his.
You give, and it's the same thing with Bjergsen, right? I think most people would agree that the most likely team, if Bjergsen left TSM, would be like 100 Thieves. And if you give Bjergsen to 100 Thieves, I don't see how any team is going to win in the next few years when Team Liquid still has their full roster, I think, at least till next year.
Smithy's
C9,
contract is up.
oh, 6 minutes. Well, Broxa coming over to TL, easy. TL, basically the same. C9, basically the same. And if a team like 100 Thieves picked up someone like Bjergsen, no other NA team is possibly going to get to Worlds, I don't think. So, like, if TSM wants to continue succeeding, they have to keep on to Bjergsen.
Yeah. So another way of phrasing it is like, even if it's not up to them, they need to pay out the ass to make sure that he leave.
Right. I mean, get rid of everyone else. Everyone else besides like Smoothie on TSM sucks, including the coaches. But like Bjergsen, they have to have him if they want to continue winning, which they probably
That was a
do.
fast burn of every single other person, aside from maybe Smoothie.
Well, listen, TSM are the people who decided to get rid of 2 junglers and put a rookie on stage in their gauntlet stage just for reasons that they.
And yet you're
don't
afraid of
choose to tell.
100T.
Well, you know what? 100T. Well, okay, that's
What did
fair.
they do again with this player that we were just saying was the second best?
That's fair. 100 Thieves has made some colossal mistakes, but the thing about 100 Thieves is they actually are like putting money into infrastructure and have put money into player salaries that I don't think TSM is in the position to match. And so on that basis, I would think that 100 Thieves are in a much better position to in going into this next season than TSM are. Despite the fact that obviously TSM has a better roster currently than 100 Thieves.
Jeffy, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
If you are Bjergsen, what do you want to do?
Oh, I go to 100 Thieves 100%. Give me that. Give me the
Why?
clout.
Well, just out of curiosity, why? I'm not saying
Yeah,
I disagree.
yeah.
I'm just curious.
So it's a combination of, I think, from the outside looking in, 100 Thieves has more money, period. They have more sponsorship deals and they have more, internet clout in general. So this is assuming that the equity rumor isn't true. Like, if it is true, then you probably have way too much tied up into TSM to ever leave it. But if it's not true, I think you make a lot more money on 100 Thieves. I think their new facility looks even better than like TL's facility, and I think TL's like training facility was a significant improvement over gaming houses. So like a significant improvement over that has to be a good idea. You have a team with Someday and Bang, and if they can shore up the jungle and maybe the support, I please don't family after move, maybe the support position, I think they're a really strong team that could even rival Team Liquid's dominance.
So, Jeffy, why are you considering just NA as a region?
Yeah, mostly because I don't think that Europe would be willing to pay as much money for Bjergsen as, okay, first of all, it's that Europe probably wouldn't be willing to pay as much money for Bjergsen as NA is because the import thing is such a big deal here. But then also, I don't think that if Bjergsen goes to a European team, he can as easily guarantee that he's going to Worlds next year. Like if he goes to, like, let's say he goes to Origin, I don't know if Origin with Bjergsen is in a position to like guarantee they're going to Worlds next year.
Gotcha. And then KR, LPL, or KR and LPL are not
They're not-
considerations for you?
No, they're not going to pick up a white guy. Come on.
So I think that there was a window for Bjerg to go to LPL or KR. I don't know if it still exists. I think that he's probably one of the players that maybe has an allure to those regions. But I understand, and to a certain extent agree with your framing around making a consideration in North America. So if you're him, do you think then your primary motivation is how much can I earn while still having the best shot at going to Worlds, because essentially I think if you're not going to EU, LPL, or KR, you're probably not trying to win Worlds anymore.
Yeah, I mean, really the only team that you could possibly argue even has a shot at winning Worlds this year is TL, and I think they're a pretty clear, probably 8th or 9th or maybe even 10th team on that spectrum. And I don't think, for instance, that Team Liquid are going to be picking up Bjergsen next year if they do, because they already have Jensen. So like, if you're in Bjergsen's position and you look at the market around you, I don't think there's a reasonable shot at you winning Worlds. So I would rather pick the best team I can with the most money that I can get.
I think that's definitely something that I've been saying this a lot about Bjergsen to X team theories, is just I don't see any of them legitimately being that great in terms of a skill opportunity. 100 Thieves with the idea of a bang and an afro and Amazing or whoever else they get in the jungle with Someday, like it sounds good, but as great as Someday is as a player, they've never been able to, like, it feels like he always struggles to integrate with the team, and I could totally see a world where that team, like playstyle wise, doesn't actually do anything. If there's some credence to the ideas that Bjergsen struggles to get on the same page with his junglers or negatively impacts them, or whether it's just that he doesn't roam enough, whatever it is, I could see that team being like a lane focused team. Who knows either way.
What if Smithy goes to 100T?
I feel a lot more confident if that did happen. I
feel like there's actually, I just had this realization. Xmithy's contract is up, and if you're 100T, he seems like a good. I think he's an attractive candidate to make an offer for. And I think if you're Steve, you don't need Xmithy. You don't feel you need Xmithy as much as maybe 100T does.
I think you do, because it's the same point Kelby makes about like letting your talent go into the ecosystem. Like, unless you're getting a surefire like upgrade the way Jensen is over Pobelter, as good as Jensen is, no one would ever say Pobelter is as good. Like, I don't see you making that move.
Yeah, I actually was thinking about having this be my topic, incidentally, that TL should not get rid of Xmithy unless they get like a superstar jungler. Like, if they get someone like a Broxa, I think getting rid of Xmithy is justifiable. But Xmithy is so good, especially in North America, that I don't see that being a prudent decision unless you can get someone who's a massive upgrade over him.
Right, and because Smithy is the second most titles in NA. He's really good, and if he goes out and like lays the turret at Worlds, maybe you turn a little bit more of a critical eye towards him. But other than that, I think really, really good, and I think TL probably recognizes his importance to that team.
Can I ask another question for the group on topic?
Yeah, go for it, dude. I'm just filling time till 10 o'clock anyway.
If you're TSM, make the pitch pretending I'm Bjergsen to keep him.
Wait, you do that again?
Ownership of the company.
If you're TSM, what is the pitch to keep Bjergsen? How do you win him and keep him from leaving?
I mean, literally, I think you need to give him like a significant chunk of the company so that he has an incentive to continue and build the brand. And you also probably need to give him like a roadmap for how TSM is A, going to make Worlds again, and B, how the brand is going to continue, because they're being outstripped by C9 and TL and 100 Thieves and maybe even Dignitas at this point in terms of brand equity in the scene.
I have a fun thing. I don't think that they would ever do this, but what if 100T says, fine, we'll give you some of our company?
Right, so they can always do that. I think what I would do, I would first, I'm not Reggie, so I don't know how the personal relationship is, but of course you got to make an emotional, personal appeal. Neither of them are going to be happy about how the year ended, so you guys can probably get in a room and vent to each other about how much shit sucked and how much you're going to fix it or whatever. Make him a fat deal, but understand that he's going to want to test the free agency waters. So you tell him, you give him the fat deal, that like the best deal the quote unquote best deal you're going to make for him, better than what you think anyone else is going to do. Then let him test the free agency market, because he's going to want to do that anyways. Hopefully you've already made the best offer, but set it up in conversation that if there is a better one, give him the opportunity to match or exceed it. And maybe he goes and uses that to highball you because he knows what your offer is already. I'm admittedly not the greatest negotiator of all time, but that's my general approach. But I got to admit, you don't have a great, I don't know what Reggie's like, dude, we have the best history, we have this, we have that, the way that he probably could have used as an argument to the past
it's a little bit
4 or 5 years.
It's a little bit like the Knicks in the NBA, where they're like, yeah, but or no, not more like the Lakers. Our history, look at our history, but the last few years have just been awful.
I think for TSM, this is the worst possible time in their history for Bjergsen to become a free agent. There's never been a worse time for them, right? They're coming off of 2 years in a row not making Worlds. There are a bunch of different teams out there that have more money or at least have been spending more money. I don't know what TSM's going to do next year, but have been spending more money and have competitive brands. And if you look at the TSM subreddit right now, the one of the things I saw frequently in the post-match thread was, I want Bjergsen to leave to a different team so I can root for a different team. This is, I think this should be the biggest story outside of Worlds over the next couple of months until we hear what's happening, because I think there's a 5-alarm fire going on over at TSM, or they should be feeling it, unless, again, there's some equity deal that we don't know about. But I think this is, I think it's crazy town. The only thing that they have in their advantage is well, there are other options out there. We've already discussed how maybe there's not as many in Europe, and Cloud9 and TL, who are the most attractive, candidates from a World's perspective, other than TSM, are probably already full up. I don't think Cloud9 is going to pick up Bjergsen. I don't think TL is going to either. So that's the only thing they've got going for them. But other than that, I think it should be pretty spooky for them unless they've already figured something else out. The only question I have is if they haven't figured it out, or if they have figured it out, why isn't the deal signed already?
I think it's interesting that all of your guys' proposals seem to be focused around the compensation offer, when it seems like the opinion seems to be that that's the toughest area for TSM to compete in, is that we know or feel strongly that 100T will make a better monetary offer. If I were TSM, what I would do would be to focus on the areas in which we are competitive and I have a legacy previously of success. I would be most focused on the fact that going to 100T, they have not done well competitively. In fact, they started with a strong roster and intentionally moved away from it. Reggie has a legacy when engaged of building and being very influential into teams' competitive success. I would personally be focused on, assuming that I can't match the compensation position, or hopefully I can get close, it would be, what are the plans specifically to make this team really, really strong competitively again?
Okay, well, so I don't know. Is Cody's son available? Travis, do you have the contract database open?
Let me find it. I don't think he's available, but we can look.
Oh, really? He's not.
I could be wrong. Actually, no. You know what? Fucking Fion tweeted earlier today a big list of people who are free agents, which we
I saw that shit. I would definitely say you could probably get Cody. Cody, unless Clutch and Dignitas really have that whole, they've been talking a lot about family. Cody doesn't seem like the kind of guy.
He doesn't have Cody on his list, so I guess I can try to find the contract database, which is intentionally difficult to find because, right?
No, it's not.
Where is it?
It's not.
How long is it going to take you to find it?
Yeah, if I could jump in, I think that's the big problem with TSM, though, is what free agents do you pick up? I don't think that TSM Dardoch is going to be what convinces Bjergsen that this is a world caliber team, right? And Sven, if they keep him around, dear God, but who do they replace?
I found it.
Yeah.
Sorry, continue. I was just interrupting to let Travis know it took.
Smoothie is fine, but then they have 3 junglers apparently. 2 of them they don't want to play. One of them certainly isn't ready.
0 of them you want to play.
Yeah,
to be honest.
And then you have a top lane who maybe he bounces back, or maybe he's a one split wonder, like we've seen a number of different players be. Like it just feels like you're right that TSM really isn't the team that historically has like been the compensation. Like we're going to pay our players a bunch of money, and that's how we're going to keep them around. But at the same time, what else do they have to offer? It doesn't seem like much.
Yeah, I mean, this was.
and that's
Go ahead.
Go ahead, Kelby.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, like, I think that your guys' analysis is right. Is that they're gonna have a difficult time going 1-to-1, and again hold this all with the caveat. I don't know their books. I could be wrong, but it certainly seems, based on current salaries and investment, 100T has money to blow. They have all the brand momentum, not just in league, but outside of this space. Competing with them in an offer in that area is difficult. You have the secret weapon. You have Reggie, who is probably the most influential owner and GM to competitive success in the history of League of Legends. If you can get that guy, leverage again, as Mark said, the relationship with him, and pull some magic for offseason as far as like building a roster that will have competitive success again, I feel like, man, that's got to be the area in which I think that you can actually compete with and beat 100T.
You don't think giving... I mean, I don't think 100T will give equity, but I think TSM might. And so that's where I think that's more of the secret weapon, right? It's like, hey, you've been part of this company for so long. As part of as part of this new thing, we want to commit with you through the next 3 years with the expectation that you'll be a lifelong TSM, a franchise player. And as part of that, we're going to give you a percentage of this company.
Yeah, I just wasn't even really considering equity as a part of the equation because it's like such a
big deal.
Yeah, it's so big, it's so complicated, nuanced, and there's like so many things you have to understand about that's just like it's a larger conversation about what are the terms of it, what is it
even
really
legal?
worth?
Just approve of a contract like that.
There's just like so many things that go into that.
If TSM does give him equity, that would be probably one of the most expensive contracts ever, depending on how much they give. Like,
depending on the valuation.
Well, there's, like I said, there's so many terms around it as well. Like in terms like what Bjergsen's abilities to exercise options are in that equity structure and all of those different things. So, I mean, it can change. It's like a point. Points are not just points. There's a lot of things that go with them that need to be considered.
Sure, I just mean from TSM's perspective versus, regardless of how much they give, versus how much they could get from like a Series B funding or whatever, is probably going to be pretty pricey.
Meaty Toes. God, do I have to keep... I'm playing like online GM looking at this list.
Oh, no, okay, here. Let me just name off the NA ones that Fionn tweeted. Afro, Hooney, Lyra, PoE, Stixay, Medios, Xsmithy, Bjergsen. He doesn't have any other NA players on the
I mean,
list.
I feel like there's a good competitive roster in there.
Well, so here's the problem, too, is TSM has clung to this idea, and it's hard to call it the wrong idea. They don't want mixed language roster. They've never had a Korean import aside for Lustboy, I believe, who is pretty fluent.
Yeah, but the only one there that struggles with English is Lyra.
No, I mean outside of the NA list.
I see what you're saying.
When Kelby was like, make your pitch, like, fuck, I go for Klid. He's so good. But then at the same time, TSM has never wanted, especially in the jungle position, a non-English speaker, I reckon. So
Mithy is available.
Wait. Yeah, I don't know. It depends, because Ruler's also a fucking amazing AD carry. Klid, I would love to get. That means you have to find a domestic top laner. But then, like you said, there's none on your list, so you're looking for like trades from Academy potentially or something. If 100 Thieves end up using Someday, maybe you can snag Fake God in a deal. That's not the sexiest name, but they've won before, and he seems like a potential up and coming talent. So I don't know.
You know what? If they get Soligo, he goes mid, Bjergsen goes AD. I feel like that's a winning roster.
All right. Hey, it was great having you on the show. Is there anything that you would like to say as we move on to the next caller, Duffy?
Yeah, GT's the best team in the world.
Right,
I love this meme, dude. This is a
Mark
great
is
meme.
grabbing our next caller. Some more people are going to think that I don't like G2 or that I dislike G2, and everyone needs to know I like G2. I think it's great if they win Worlds. Brunar for 2 months, Rissel Britchus, Dorking for 19, OPTSM fan gifted a sub to Empire. Impure? I don't know how to,
I have to pee really bad. I'll be right back.
Harry 8 with the Prime, Abiha 1225 for 9 months. Oh, what I should actually do right now is the break. We're going to do the break while Mark is in the bathroom. All right, we're going to talk about our second sponsor for the show. Hey, Skips, I know you're here. Just hang in. We're going to talk about our second sponsor for the show, Movement. You might have seen me sporting their sunglasses throughout the evening. Just thought it would be fun to throw these on for this evening. Normally, I wear some of their other products. But also, in addition to that, you might have seen me wearing one of their watches. Actually, last week, Steve, or maybe it was the week before, Steve from Team Liquid was on the show. He saw my ad for Movement, and he went and bought this one, which is funny because it's the same one I have, and Mark recently requested it, so it's a big popular one. MVMT.com/Travis. You go there, you save 15%. It's a... let me type it in. MVMT.com/Travis. You save 15%. It's a LA-based company, so super happy to partner with a Los Angeles-based company. They do free shipping on all their orders. They've got Everscroll blue light glasses. They make amazing watches. They've got sunglasses as well. And then even some jewelry up on their site, too. They've got men's and women's options. So you can go check out their stuff. They've recently for men, they started doing bracelets and rings. So hopefully, hoping to get my hands on some of that stuff soon too. But yeah, really fantastic. So mvmt.com/Travis. Check it out. If you're listening to the podcast, go there. If you're on the YouTube VOD, just click in the description below. That stuff really helps me out because they've signed on board with us as our sponsor. They sponsor all sorts of stuff that I do. Hoping because I really like the company to have an extension on that relationship. So I'm hoping that you guys will extend some love. Go check out their stuff on the site. Even if you're not in the market, if it's not for you, that's fine. Just do me a favor and click the link and just check it out, because even that helps it. So thanks so much to Movement for checking out, or for sponsoring our content, and thank you to all of you for checking out their website and seeing what their products are. So we do have our next caller here, Skips35. Skips, where are you calling from?
East Lansing, Michigan.
East Lansing, Michigan. Have you been on the show before?
Yeah, before spring finals.
Yeah, I remember, because East Lansing is definitely... Anyway, what do you want to talk about on the show?
My topic is Clutch will bomb out of play-ins this year.
Clutch will bomb out of play-ins. The newly qualified team. The first time a North American team will not make it out of play-ins, in your opinion. Is your prediction. Skips, why do you think that?
Well, there's a good chance they'll make it to the best of 5 stage, in my opinion, because they're a good best of 1 team. And the emerging regions look a lot better recently, namely Unicorns of Love. And if they get placed against one of them, like Unicorns of Love or Royal Youth, then there's a very good chance that they'll lose the best of 5 and then get out of plans.
Well, that's depressing. I don't want to think about that.
I love Tanner time, but it's hard to say.
Well, so I'm pretty sure, correct me if I'm wrong here, the group stage is just the teams from Pool 2 and Pool 3, and all the Pool 1 teams sit as the final boss.
Yeah, that's what I thought too. I don't think they have to do groups.
Oh, they don't have to do groups this year?
They didn't last year.
I don't know. I never watch plans. I just assume we're going to make it out.
Let me double check that's what it was last year.
Usually when Mark is casting, and then they bring him in the C team. And
is that what we are? I felt like we're the scout team, they're just looking for anybody.
Yeah.
Anyone with a pulse. Let me double check, but I'm pretty sure it was that way last event.
Huh.
Yeah, they didn't. They did play groups?
Yeah, C9 was in groups with DFM.
Yeah,
see, Mark doesn't watch play-ins either. Play-ins
I worked that event, dude, and I don't even remember that shit.
Yeah, I feel no guilt.
So I agree with some of your take about how Clutch should be a good best of one team. I also think that that's when they haven't seen anyone either, and so it just feels like the most volatile time. And the thing that I actually like about Clutch, as much as I think that they are somewhat eager to take fights and just kind of force them, is that for a lot of these teams who haven't scrimmed them or played against them, I'm sure that they're going to watch some of the VODs and like the 10-minute Rift Herald that Clutch has, even when you know it's coming, you have to stop it, and you have to actually do that well. And I think a lot of teams will actually struggle against that as playing caliber teams. You know, a lot of the times they are weaker laners than, you know, Clutch is probably used to playing domestically, so they'll have easier times getting into their setups for these kinds of Rift Herald lane swaps that they tend to do. So I'm of the opinion that I think Clutch will actually do pretty well going through here, unless one of these teams is actually really impressive. There's still a lot of teams to be decided. The Vietnam, Southeast Asian, CIS, and Japanese teams haven't been decided yet, so it's a little hard to say, and I haven't done any scouting yet. So I don't know. But at least in theory, I like the fact that Clutch has a really stable set of plays that they go for all the time, that even North American teams have kind of struggled against, which gives me some confidence for these teams.
Yeah, in my opinion, like, I don't know, Clutch seems to be getting stronger as time goes on, and I think that they will get stronger as they go off to Europe, and I think that the Clutch that we'll see in plans will be even stronger than the one that beat TSM. So I don't worry about them as much. I know it's like I think this is like the trendy thing these days, you know? Some people are buying Mid-Century Modern for their home. Some people are saying Clutch isn't going to make it out of play-ins. But
And some people don't think G2 is the best team in the world.
Some people aren't willing to hard commit to that 3 weeks before fucking World Championships. Yes, that's true. So anyway, my point is that I think that they're going to get to a point where, you know, Clutch will be able to get through plans. I'm not too worried about them. But maybe, I mean, this is the first time and whatever. We don't have Cloud9, and they're like the gauntlet and play-in champions, so we're going to find out.
I'm not comfortable with it, so no one's allowed to. That's why I wrote in chat. I think Clutch will get through, but I do feel less secure than I've ever felt having it not be C9. And that's a relatively unproven team. 3 guys who have never been to Worlds before. It does scare me.
By the way, a lot of people in the chat are saying I'm malding. My hairline is exactly where it's been since I was like 12.
Travis, you take like these meme things that people say and you take them seriously. Malding is just like the insult of it's like if someone called you a boomer and you'll be like, how could I be a boomer? I was born so far after the baby boom. It's not possible. It's just
I think the boomer insult would be more accurate than the malding thing, you know?
It's just the generic insult.
I just, you know, I really care. There's Kobe. I really care about my hairline because, you know, I really care about my hair. I think that they're going to make it through plans. I'm not worried. But I do agree that this is perhaps like the least confidence I've had in a team getting through plans ever, since normally like Cloud9 is in there and you're just like, okay, that's going to be fine. And I do think that they're going to be, the plans will be more competitive. So maybe I actually will watch them this year. Mark, are you too busy enjoying Twitch chat making fun of me?
Yeah, I'm loving Twitch chat. It's so popping right now. Yeah, I've already said my piece on it, I think they're fine. I think they'll get through without having done any research yet and know the groups.
Yeah. Hey, Skips, thanks so much for your call.
Yep, no problem.
Yeah, have a good one. Yeah, by the way, this is one of those things where if you're right, you get to call in later on and you get to say you predicted it. So congrats. Also, anything you want to say as we say goodbye?
Of course. Has chat heard of any Prime?
Of what?
You haven't heard of it, Travis?
The call broke up. I didn't hear what you said.
I heard him.
Oh, I heard him.
Oh, Twitch Prime. Has chat heard of Twitch Prime? Yes, I did hear of that. I have heard of that. And I hope that Twitch Prime has as well. Thank you, Skips. I appreciate that. Yeah. I think my graphics driver just updated on my computer. Some stuff is going on. I don't really understand. Kelby, can you hear me? Okay. Weird. Yeah, I think my graphics driver just randomly updated in the middle of the show, and everything went wonky. Either way, Con is here. Con, where are you calling from? Boise, Idaho. Boise, Idaho. Your audio is a little rough tonight in comparison to where it's been in the past, I think, when you've called in. It's okay. I forgive you. What do you want to talk about on the show tonight? I'm here to talk about apparently chat can't hear. Interesting. No, I think it's on my end. I think it was whenever my audio drivers updated, or my graphics drivers updated.
Chat. Say boomer malding or malding boomer with some combination. And
Can you talk again, Mark?
no, they can hear.
Okay.
They're all spamming malding boomer.
Con, can you talk again?
Okay, I'm talking again.
Let's see if they can hear you. Go ahead and go ahead and make your point.
So I think with TSM losing, there's at least 3 different things that helps the LCS out from this offseason and moving forward. I think the first, we've seen it a lot tonight, is the story of Bjerg and as a free agent where he's going to go. I think that story and that's going to drive the narrative of the offseason. I don't know if it's going to be something that comes out here soon, quickly or not, but whether it's 100T, stays with TSM, goes back to Europe, maybe there's another NA team out there that picks him up, who knows. I think that having that type of storyline will only drive interest in the league, with offseason coming up. I also think that having Clutch and seeing their rise and kind of the emphasis they put in their coaching staff and kind of their own play style that they've committed to for weeks now. I know we all joke like, guys, they're going to go to Rift Herald at 10 minutes, but that's been one of the things NA's been lacking as a team that just has an identity and they're going to do it no matter what. And I think the final point, too, is I think this is the second year in a row we've seen a top team make a questionable decision with subbing a starting player that didn't appear to be a problem that's basically flamed out. Last year, 100T had the benefit of getting the points to get to Worlds, but I think it's pretty, seeing the TSM thing happen, hopefully this will teach orgs that making these type of changes right at the end of the season is just a very bad, not good idea.
So wait, do you have a single take?
This is the best thing that could happen for the LCS.
He was saying this was great, and here's why.
Okay, sorry. I think I mixed it as we were having the technical issues.
Okay.
So it's just there's a lot to talk about, is what it sounds like. You're saying there's a lot of storylines and there's a lot of drama, and that's
and there's some takeaways, ideally, for teams about messing things up and having identities, even if it's telegraphed and obvious. Like, hey, we contest your blue every game. We do dragon every time on red side your blue's up, stuff like that. I mostly agree with everything you said. I will say that TSM making Worlds and then losing would have been hilarious and awesome and would have given us tons to talk about. We still have a lot. But just, that story of after all that roster swap and Clutch looking so good, that I think everyone would be disappointed to send TSM. So everyone would be flaming TSM before the event, and then they would do bad, and then everyone would continue to flame. We do miss out on that, but everything else I pretty much agree with. The benching thing is a really weird one. I don't know what happened. I feel like maybe I'm crazy, but if Travis and Kelby feel the same way, I feel like benchings used to have some nuance to them. Like when we bench Piglet for 2 weeks to try and check it and get the team on the same page, and then we brought him back in and did decently well with him. Nowadays it feels just like internal secret explosion happens that we're not going to hear about, and this guy's literally dead to the team.
Yeah. Bjergsen unfollowed Arcadian on Instagram. I found this out because someone tweeted at me.
Yeah. But like
Holy
even
moly.
you know, like the turtle swap that happened, and trying to think of some other examples of like temporary benchings, or even ones that were just handled better, like Lust Boy for Glebe maybe, or some of these other, like, I feel like in the past we didn't have these like huge blow up benching that happened. Maybe the C9 one was kind of like that with
The C9 one was
Meteos and
intense, but
High.
that was last year as well. I'm trying to think of
No,
ones
no.
that
I
haven't
was
occurred.
that one worked. I meant the High and Meteos one.
Oh yeah.
Where High came back and started jungling or something because Meteos and Jensen hated each other or something. But then that still went okay, I believe. Yeah, I know you guys had to mention Loco. I know the whole story. I just
Loco's
mean
in
like
the chat for anybody not watching live.
I'm just saying like it went well. Like it was relatively smooth in a sense where you had a good backup plan that actually worked out better compared to some of these benchings where it's like, well, we hate this guy and we're not going to make it work, so here's a shit alternative, but we're going to do it anyways. Yeah, I don't know. Kelby, do you feel like that? Like, I don't know. Is that crazy? That I just feel like teams just, I don't know what is up with just the blow up benching.
Well, CLG used to have some pretty apeshit roster moves back in the day, so I feel like it's hard for me to criticize.
That's true.
We were free thinkers, is what I will say. We were willing to try lots of stuff.
Yeah, at
out.
one point in time, you benched your entire roster.
Stop. Oh yeah, well that
was
dope. That was hilarious.
For Chaos to come in.
So send the team early to boot camp because we had no incentive to stay in NA. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah, how'd that go?
We didn't do well. I think the idea behind it was good. Execution was poor. But staying on topic, I it's hard for me to say, Mark, without obviously like being a part of these organizations. I like to think that over time they've probably gotten more sophisticated and learned. But getting back to like the caller's original point, so the argument is essentially that this is the best thing that could have happened for the future of NALCS. And in the short term, like the immediate short term, I'm inclined to agree. Long term, I wonder about the deteriorating position of TSM, historically the strongest brand in NALCS, and if their weakened position is good for the strength of the league long term, because I don't perceive league or LCS to be growing, where like it's more stagnant, and as a result, retention of your fans and their engagement is really, really important. If the league is like rapidly expanding and continuing to grow, a legacy org losing its position, I'm not as worried about, because you have a C9 situation, right, where you have the new team come up and they can blow up and kind of give these new faces somebody to identify and attach with. But if the league is not like necessarily in a growth phase, I don't know that like TSM doing well and those fans becoming less engaged because the team that they've liked for so long and Bjergsen potentially leaving is good for the team staying around. Like
I think the question is, okay, TSM loses fans. Do the fans leave league, or do they leave TSM and go to a different team?
Yeah,
I think that's an interesting way to put it. You know, do they just churn out of the scene? I wouldn't be surprised if some do. Even if Bjerg stays, even if it's just like a continued deterioration of the TSM Bjergsen legacy, maybe they just don't feel like they're following the best mid laner in the West anymore, or at least in NA, and they just keep slowly fading out or moving on. Because as cool as it is to send a new team, if they don't stick, what was the point of kind of ruining the TSM? Not like anyone's doing this. I just mean forward thinking. What did we gain from the deterioration of the TSM legacy?
Well, especially because, and this is, I actually kind of wish that the league and I don't know, the Worlds group or whatever would let Clutch rebrand right now, because we're literally sending a dead team to Worlds, right? A dead brand at least.
Yeah, but that's like the short term question. I'm thinking more long term, right? Like imagine SKT when they started crumbling, just never recovered, and Faker stayed on SKT, and they got worse. And you watch the best player of all time lose, and like just the SKT organization just faded into mediocrity. And it wasn't like something insane happened. Like Team Liquid coming up with Doublelift is cool, but it's still just Doublelift. Team Liquid already had some fans. They were already relatively popular. It wasn't like a new face, even though it is a new dynasty. It's not really a new face. It doesn't feel right now in the short term like anything substantial has replaced TSM's legacy. I don't know if that's just how I feel, though.
I mean, all of the stuff that Khan mentioned has been definitely good for Hotline League, but you're right. I don't know if it's good for
long-term
LCS
health of a league. Yeah,
I mean,
because sorry, go ahead.
I also think the fact that TSM missing 2 Worlds in a row, it could be that could also be good for the organization to kind of maybe wake themselves up and realize they've been doing things the wrong way, and may force a whole just turnover makeover that puts them back in a position where, maybe they're just being trusted by fans more. Or maybe they come back next year or 2 years from now just better than they were in the past.
I mean, so what I don't want is for TSM to like wither and die. I think that would not be good. Also, I don't know why I would want that in general, but like I don't think that a world where that brand falls down to like FlyQuest levels would be
well, they just become CLG.
Oh God.
Would be a good situation. But I also feel like, so there was some point in time where like the majority of LCS fans were TSM fans, and I don't think that's healthy either, because it is really bad whenever you end up in a situation where like, okay, well, what TSM had, like the situation we're in right now, TSM isn't going. In fact, imagine actually the worst scenario than the one we're in is Doublelift stays at TSM and then they don't go to Worlds for 2 years. And
well, that's impossible, but sure, whatever.
Well, the worst case scenario is that what happened in 2016 and 2017 happens in 2018, 2019. That we have the most dominant team, they continue to win as TSM, and then they go to Worlds and they can't, and MSI can't.
I don't know. I think it's
that
worse
would be the
if,
darkest
I think it's worse if, because when Doublelift left, he took a bunch of fans with him to Team Liquid, so at least some of, like, I think it'd be really bad.
The worst position would have been if Clutch beat TL in Game 5 in the semifinals 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that one actually was realistic.
Yeah. In terms of all the possible outcomes of the postseason, I think this is, like you're saying, the best one, Con. But I do side more with Kelby, as he brought up some good long-term concerns about whether or not what's happening currently, if it is actually the best thing for the North American scene.
Yeah. Hey, Con, thanks so much for your call. We're running low on time. We're going to go over time. So is there anything you want to say as we move on to the next caller?
Yeah, just that I think that G2 is maybe the most overrated team in League of Legends history. And they've been gifted series by teams like Fnatic and SKT to make people think that they're the best in the world.
All right, well, we got 2 more callers.
I disagree with that take. I think G2's a great team, and
I'm
I think they are favorites for Worlds.
Travis. I'm glad you agreed with him, though. I'm glad we finally got someone on your side, Travis.
I mean, they're down 2 games of Fnatic both times, and Fnatic threw.
Con, thank you for the call.
Thank you, guys. Have a good night.
Thanks, dude.
I am not a G2 hater.
I'm getting the next person. Well, you make your plea, Travis.
Hey, Travis, what did you pay that guy to say that stuff?
Bayhead 1225, 9 months. Just Jalou, thank you for 2 months. Ribbon Shoe at 17. Benjamin Fisholicious, Pokemans, Joswig, Heart of Kyber. Real Foxy donated $5. Said just donating to say hi to Kelby. So many things for 19 months. CT Furs for 2. Coco Sanchez 18. LOL Deer, hi Deer, for tier 1 with a tier 1 sub, and Nerdstorm X for tier 1. A lot of you got gifted subs tonight. Did you know right now, if you got gifted a sub tonight, you can celebrate by extending your sub for $2.50 right now through September. If you're watching live, you can also just sub in general for for $2.50. Listen, it's half off for September. Heisendinger is here. Heisendinger, remind me where you're calling from.
Jacksonville, Florida.
Jacksonville, Florida. Your mic is the worst it's ever been. Are you on a phone?
I'm on my laptop. I'm actually doing homework as I'm sorry.
You're doing homework. Well, that's good. I'm happy that you're following the academic route. What do you want to talk about on the show?
So I basically, or long story short, this world is super hyped. I think every team coming out have like really big storylines behind them, and Riot should those storylines to propel the game into being seriously monetized.
Sorry, what's the last bit?
Solve the money problem. To monetize the game, they make teams money, so we're not worrying about longevity anymore, or at the very least, we can start solving that problem.
So you're saying Riot should take advantage of the hype around this Worlds and add extra monetization to this Worlds?
Either, if not this Worlds, we can begin a system at least that can kind of, okay, so every team going in from the major is just awesome. And an argument can be made of like some sort of like backstory with the underdogs, EU new kings, China new kings, reclaiming their glory. These are all like very big stories, very like hype kind of, I think, moments that are going to happen. And that you use like this year's Worlds coming into 2020 to actually like start monetizing the game. As to how, I'm not exactly, I think this is probably the last chance we're ever going to get, because the game's never going to get better. This is literally just as good as it's going to get. I know Kelby's going to have a ball with this, but I personally don't think it's getting any better.
What just happened at the end there?
This is one of my favorite callers.
We just turned into a very dark place.
So wait, Heisendinger, you have no idea for like how Riot could monetize this? Because I have.
Well, I mean, personally, I have ideas, but no, yeah, I mean, I could come up with a do. As to how many of them would work, I'm not sure. I think the key to any of their success is kind of using the fact that, like, okay, let's say, for example, G2 wins World. Mm-hmm. We say, okay, we have new EU King Overlords. Here's like this big EU package you could do that will like support the EU teams, or like say Team Liquid make it really far. Hey, we finally have an NA team that doesn't like suck ass. Here's your big NA hype package.
So for the sake of brevity, there's a million different ways you can do it. All these esports have different things in their own ecosystems for how they monetize. You can pick and choose the best ones. I'm not too concerned about that. I like what you said at the end, though, as the spicy take of this is the best it's going to get. Because I'm not sure I agree.
That's like that's a whole other topic. That's a whole other topic, and we should probably ignore I said that. That's my personal opinion. Putting it out there, I know it's like kind of short on time. I'll call about that later, because that is like actually a topic I've got in my back pocket. So let's ignore that, please, because that is like a conversation.
He wants to have that conversation when he has a better microphone.
Well, then I'm not quite sure what.
The take is, this is an amazing Worlds. This is perhaps the best set of stories that we've ever had converge. There's going to be a ton of hype around it. This is Riot's chance to really start fucking making it happen from a monetization perspective. And I'll throw it to Kelby because I know I can just take the next 5 minutes off.
Well, no, I think so. The problem that I maybe see with just like the initial ideas, and they're just off the top of your head that you rambled off, Heisendinger, is that if you're doing something that rewards only the champion from a development opportunity cost perspective, when you focus on one region, you're creating a monetization asset which really is only going to appeal with that region, whereas normally Riot is developing products that appeal hopefully globally, right? They want to create skin or other assets that everybody taps into. So I think that I agree there is definitely value in doing something more robust in terms of monetizing around Worlds the way that other games
or esports do. But I think making it too region focused in its offering is problematic because you're limiting the market which will purchase your product, right? Which from an opportunity cost perspective for Riot just doesn't make sense when they're developing other products and they will generate more revenue because they have global appeal.
I agree with everything you said about that, especially in the esports ecosystem. Like, an NA fan is not going to buy a European skin for a regional winner.
I'm certainly fucking not.
Yeah, I would say most people aren't, and that's a lot of skins to create because then you have to do that for every region. So that idea is kind of not probably going to pan out. I always am down for more monetization as long as it feels fair and people are willing to pay for it, and the community is more than willing to share their opinion when they don't feel like it's fair, like with Eternals and stuff. So, you know, I appreciate the attempt by Riot with the Eternals thing. It's not really esports monetization, but like trying out new cool ways to do it. That one apparently sucked. I only cursory read about it and people's reactions. But hey, that's how I feel like the market should work. Riot develops a product, people say they fucking hate it or not, and then they spend their money or they don't.
Okay, quick question.
And I want them to take opportunity. I want them to try things like Eternals, even if that iteration or idea sucked.
Quick question: is this the most hyped Worlds that we will ever have, or that we've had so far?
No. Really?
You don't think so?
Maybe it is. I feel like in terms of just quantity of hype, 2015. Fucking sick. It was mostly Korean, but I just felt like there was like the CLG Madison Square Garden thing just happened, and I don't know. There was a lot of cool shit going on in a lot of regions. It also had the Fnatic versus OG, which was dope. I forget what was going on in China at the time. They had EDG, right? In RNG? Or Starhorn Royal Club at the time? Like, there was a lot of cool shit in 2015 was dope as fuck.
2015 was pretty good. I just feel like this is the first real, like, because of what happened at last year's Worlds, and because of MSI, and because of G2, the best team in the world, and because of Team Liquid, who people are saying, I know people said this about TSM in the past, but like, strongest team North America's ever produced, riding this like back to back to back to back. I said that only because somebody in Twitch chat said they didn't want me to say that. Victory thing. Like, I feel like, one, you know, I don't think Riot has necessarily done the best job of building the hype yet for Worlds. Hopefully that comes over in the next couple of weeks, otherwise I'm going to be pissed. But I do think that this should feel like the most exciting time to watch League of Legends competitively in the next month or so.
From a Western perspective, definitely agree.
I would say even the Easterners were probably really excited. I think the Chinese team's looking awesome. I think teams are looking back on form. So I don't think it's just in the West that I think like worldwide League fans should be super pumped for this year's World.
I mean, I think Korea should feel excited for a chance to redeem themselves, right? Like, it's not like they're sending shit teams and they're like, oh fuck, it's not like they're in a North America position, right? Like they should feel, not this year. I'm just saying, in the past, North America's gone to Worlds and they've been like, is this even can we get out of groups? Korea shouldn't be feeling that way. I think that I think every region should have a lot of anticipation for them and what they can accomplish.
Sure. That's fair.
Hey, Heisendinger, let's get you back for that other call at some point in time, and let's make sure that you're not on your laptop microphone when you do.
Yeah. Oh, also for the record, G2 is in fact the best team in the world. Just deal with it, Travis. I'm sorry.
Well, Heisendinger, I don't think you should make that statement so definitively.
Okay, Heisendinger's out of the call. We can move on to wrap up the show. We got
I don't know
one
how
more
you can say a
caller.
team's not, because then you must think that someone is.
True Pyro Chimp subbed for 2 months. Thank you. TL is the best team in the world, and Double is the best player of all time. G2 is the favorites for the tournament, though, says True Pyro Chimp. Thank you for your sub.
Dr. Manhattan's back.
Yes.
Dr. Manhattan, welcome back. Calling from the Washington, D.C. area.
Yes.
Hello?
He said yes.
Oh, I haven't turned down on 10 because I think he was loud before.
Yeah, he's quiet now.
Okay, I turned him up to 200% now, so it's very...
Yeah, same.
You need to get your audio stable.
Equalize. You need an equalizer.
Yeah, probably.
whatever.
Can you
What's your
can you
topic?
move your mouth a little closer to your microphone? Because even at 200%,
How's this?
that's way
Much
better.
better.
Okay, thank you.
Cool.
What do you want to talk about on the show?
With all the teams that are qualified for, or the teams that we have thus far, I think right now would be a good time to bring up what I talked about last year, and that's the Dottie Award, and who I think my nominee is for the Dottie.
Oh, we're doing this now, Mark?
I misunderstood. I thought it was other awards that we should keep in mind as well beyond the Dade one. How are we going to do the Dade Award before it's happened?
Well,
Well,
no, he
not
likes
that-
to do. We did this last year.
Isn't
We
that
made
kind
the
of the point,
prediction.
though, that we predict the Dottie Award?
Oh,
The problem
okay,
is, I feel
sorry,
like we should
that's
save
fine.
this topic for like a show, a week or two before World starts,
You mean after like play-ins?
or either after plans or like right before.
I mean most of the teams that are probably eligible for Dottie Award are already qualified at this
Yeah, I
point.
know, but I just
Sure.
I want us to get the show.
We have Kelby. We have Kelby on the show. Listen to
Yeah, Kelby knows
Dade.
absolutely jack shit about international stuff. He knows less than
Excuse
I do.
me. I
Just
watch
let him
as
say
much.
caps and move on.
We should get like
Travis,
Raz
I
or
watch
something.
as much of the other regions as you do.
Dr. Manhattan, do you have another topic?
This is
Twitch
awkward.
chat. What do you want to? Do you want to see the Dottie Awards?
Yeah.
Twitch chat.
Yeah,
I-
Twitch
what-
chat.
what do
I
you
don't
want,
know.
Twitch?
I don't normally read
like,
Twitch
I'm not,
chat.
I
but,
can't. Okay,
you know,
you've
this
got
is
me
the-
and Kelby. This is the conversation that you're going to be able to have, Mark. So, and we're 11 minutes past the show time. So
All
just,
right.
you run through this really interesting topic that could
Seems
go on
like
for
this
20 minutes
malding
in the right
boomer is
context.
trying to suppress what chat wants.
Travis, just say someone on G2 because we know that's who you want to say, and then we'll all say mine, and Kelby will say someone from NA.
Oh.
All right, I'll say mine. I think I would pick Tarzan, the Griffin jungler. I think he is an incredible jungler. I absolutely love watching him jungle. He's gonna get so much hype from the casters and the broadcast team, justifiably so. But he's gonna be so built up, and what's gonna happen? He's gonna get to Worlds, and I am not bought in on Griffin super hard. I think they should get out of groups. But I feel like depending on if he has a good group or not, Griffin could really underperform. And jungling with bad team is mental booming. And you've seen that happen with Sven. You've seen what happened with junglers all over the world. Clear Love. I think there's a chance Griffin will go to Worlds, lay an egg, and the best jungler in the world, which people kind of think he is, will receive a fair amount of flack for it.
Now we're declaring best jungler in the world.
He's going to get that hype, dude. And for good reason. He is incredible.
My take on the Dade Award is I would actually nominate 5 players. That's Wonder, Jankos, Caps, Perks. And,
Travis wasn't going to do it. You needed to.
and I mean, like, really, G2, they have to be maybe the most overhyped team in the history of League of Legends. They go to MSI, a semi-competitive international tournament. They fluke to a victory. Congrats. Barely scraped by Fnatic, who throws their series after being up 2 games. They faced TL when they were clearly in poor form, not their best day. They got shit on by IG in finals last year. Well, not
Caps
them,
did.
but Caps did. And like we're gonna see, they've got all this pressure going in. Everybody's like, "Oh, this is the best team in the world. This is finally our chance." EU is edging so hard right now. They're like, "Oh my god!" They're so eager to jump on this moment to claim that they're the best team ever because in the back of their mind, they know they're fucking terrified, right? Like, we got to claim it now before Worlds happens. And everybody sees and exposes, how weak we really are. They're going to come in and all this pressure in on them in Europe in front of all their fans.
oh, like, oh, it's just going to boil over. We're going to see the collapse. And you know what? You know who's going to rise to the top? Team Liquid.
They're going to
Double
go for the
lift
ultimate.
after making 4 consecutive North American victories. The winningest player in the history of the NALCS goes into EU. This was just the time that he was waiting for. Lays it down. He's got Core JJ, the best support in the world. All right. They go back, lay it on the table in front of everybody else to the top. There is no doubt in my mind. Team Liquid will be world champions.
Travis can only get so aroused. Calm down, Kelby. I thought you were going to go for the ultimate switcheroo there and say SKT.
No.
All right. Well, Travis doesn't have an opinion on this. That was a quality rant.
Dr. Manhattan, what's your take?
Who do you nominate?
Well, you took one of my top nominees, and that's Tarzan, but that's okay because I have another one, which it's probably going to Canyon on Dam 1. I saw he gave a pretty respectable performance all season in the LCK, and I'm pretty to my knowledge, I believe he won MVP. So there's obviously going to be a good amount of eyes on him. So that's probably, and Dam 1's a relatively new team going into Worlds, and that's usually how the Dade Award works sometimes, is like these fresh-faced teams, LGD, Samsung Ozone, ADG when Name won. So Canyon might be another person, or maybe, like, I don't know. Like, to be fairly honest, this is like my improv one, just because my top one is Tarzan, and I agree with.
Sorry, I jacked it. Yeah, that's cool.
I know.
All right, sounds good. Travis, are you back? Really unprofessional behavior for the host of a show to just.
Hello? There we go. I have no idea why that happened.
You
Discord
unplugged your microphone. You're so over that topic. That's
No, as soon as I disconnected from Discord, reconnected, it started working again. Discord's just going crazy.
Boomer host can't figure out the technology.
Dr. Manhattan, thanks for coming on the show. We're going to say goodbye to you now.
Hey, appreciate it.
Have a good one.
This is a fun episode,
Let's
dude.
end this
I'm so glad
fucking
Kelby
show.
came back.
Oh my
This was
God.
such a good episode, dude. This is probably my favorite episode in a long time. The G2 troll shit at the beginning, everyone's saying it as their troll shout out. Kelby's thing, the molding boomer, Raz coming in. Oh, it's such a good episode.
Mark, what do you want to shout out?
Shout out to everyone who was a part of this episode. That's it.
Kelby?
I want to give a shout out to. What? Why are you laughing?
Is it the Chainsmokers?
Ah! You're spoiling it. You're spoiling it. I want to give a shout out to a little EDM group. They now make pop music. You may have heard of them. Called the Chainsmokers. All right. The greatest big room group. At least they were from 2014 to 2016. I believe they're going to make EDM music again one day. I'm really holding out for that moment. But still appreciate everything that they do.
Boomer EDM band.
It really is at this point.
I like how boomers could even know what EDM is. Travis, anything for you? Any big news?
Yes. If you were enjoyed Raz's call into the show, Brodin and I are starting to put the final touches on our LPL mini doc. It's going to come out in 2 episodes. I think next week will be the first one, but it's coming along really well, and I'm excited about it. And that's going to be sick. Got some LCS interviews coming out soon. And shout out to Square, who hooked me up with a code for Final Fantasy VIII Remastered. Actually, I've been really enjoying going back to that game. It's been fun. And I think that's it. Shout out to Twitch chat for being you and for subbing during September.
Oh yeah, we got a lot of subs this show too. Another reason it's the best episode ever.
Well, the vast majority of them were gifted because the people in the chat would rather make fun of me than gift me a sub. They don't love me even whenever it's 50% off.
Jeez.
Anyway, thanks everyone for watching. This has been Hotline League, episode 90.
Every sub helps a follicle of Travis's balding head.